Welcome back to the Meeple Marathon. Today we are going to continue our coverage of The Great Wall by Awaken Realms, and we're going to talk about how to set up and play the game, and we're going to be specifically talking about how to play it true solo. So there's actually several ways to play this game. It was designed as a competitive or semi-cooperative, really, game where everybody is competing to gain the most honor, but at the same time you're all having to defend against these hordes that are incoming. So you all have to work together to defend the wall and build up the wall, but at the same time you're trying to, be more popular and gain more honor with the emperor than everyone else. So semi-cooperative. Or you can play fully cooperative, where the goal of the game is to complete certain emperor's requests, a certain number based on your player count. Or you can play the game true solo, which is, you could play the game cooperative two-handed. In this instance, you are playing with just one faction, and you are controlling a AI who is trying to beat your score, and you're also controlling an AI who's just kind of there to assist, really, because at the end of the day, this game cannot be played with any less than 3 factions at any given time. So there's always going to be 3 factions that you have to get at least a certain amount of meeples out for. Or I'm going to say meeples because I have the meeple version of the game. If you have the miniature version, then just replace meeples with miniatures. So let's just real quickly talk about if you were playing a 3-player game, which essentially the solo or like a 2-player cooperative game would be. This is the setup. I'm just going to kind of go around the board here. I've already set things up, but so this is the honor track that's going around the outside of the board here. You can see it goes to 100. There are tokens in the box that you can give to someone who says, all right, I already have 100 points, because you are probably going to pass 100, start looping back around again. The other side of it is 200, but everybody starts at the 0 mark on the honor track. All right. You also need to have a certain pile of shame tokens. This is your shame token pool, and it is determined by the player count. Well, in a solo game, you only get 10 tokens. In any other game, you get 10 per player. So if you were playing, cooperative, I believe you would get 20. But in this instance, I only have 10 shame tokens here that I can gain to lose. And if I lose this pile, then, or if that pile ever runs out, then I lose the game. That's supposed to be off the board. I just have found that's a nifty place to put them, because in a 3-player game or less, you actually don't use this whole alley right here. So you're never going to build this wall section. You're never going to have horde cards in this area. It's just too overwhelming to try and cover 3 wall sections with 3 or less players. So they tell you to put the barricades up right here. I don't bother, because it's just easy enough for me to know that that whole section over there gets ignored. All right. Then you're going to put this marker on the time track here. You can see that we are playing on the 3-player side of the board. The opposite side of the board is for 4 to 5 players. Has like more spots, more places to put your workers, things like that. So we're going to put the time tracker here. There is a +1 on this side, but if you're playing true solo, where you're actually competing to get a high score, you play with just the regular red side. The +1 side is for cooperative. All right. Over here, these are the artifact cards. They've got the kind of red pagoda on the back. I believe there's 5 of them in the base game. There are others if you have the stretch goals and the expansions, but basically you shuffle them up, you draw 5, or draw 3, and then they just sit there. These are for end game scoring only. They're going to give you points at the end of the game, so you can kind of plan ahead by seeing them, but you're not going to really interact with them, so they're just tucked over there. Next, you are going to want to create your horde deck here. Now, it's important that you remove all the horde cards that would put you into this 3rd lane here. So you can see that this horde card here on this Horde card, and let's see, all three of them. Okay, all three of them would be putting the Horde card that was just drawn in this far right lane, but I have removed all the ones from this lane, so there's only the middle and the right in this stack. There are also cooperative Horde cards that you want to remove unless you are playing the cooperative game. And there's also, if you have the Black Powder expansion, there's Black Powder ones. So you want to make sure that you are only playing with the Horde cards that are correct for the game mode you are playing. Okay, so those are shuffled up, and then you go ahead and draw two. In this instance, just fill in the two slots of the wall, place one at the front of each. It doesn't matter what the symbol was underneath it. And again, we ignore this whole section up here. All right, since you don't start with actually any wall built, you can see without a wall built, your defense value is 0. You actually get to start the game with a full set of barricades in front of each wall section. So again, we're ignoring this section, but here 3 and 3, those start out on the game. We get them for free. All right, this area right here is going to be where we're placing our command cards throughout the game. So this area doesn't have anything in it right now. These are all of our basically worker placement spots that we're going to be placing workers in throughout the game. This is your T track. So I've gone ahead and placed these here like this. Normally you would have your token in front of you and you would place your T marker out based on your general's T value, but in a solo game, the Reed clan, who I have as the blue faction, always goes on the bottom. Qin Jiushao, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, always goes in the middle, and you always get to start on top. So I've gone ahead and placed those there like that because it really doesn't matter what my general's T value is. I'm going to start on top. All right, these are your tactics cards. Again, you want to make sure you are playing with the appropriate tactics cards in this deck. These that I'm playing with have no symbol on them, but if you take a look at some of these others here, for example, these cards are for the cooperative mode. They've got this tiny little symbol in the corner, so you want to make sure you pull those out. These came with the 5th player expansion, so if you're playing with 5 players, you want to pull, or you would add those, but otherwise you want to pull them out. And if you have the stretch goal box, the Ancient Chronicles expansion, which is basically scenario-based games, you would add those in. You want to make sure you pull those out. And if you did like I did and just took everything from the stretch goal box and combined it into the base box before even playing, then you shuffled all these together and you started pulling them out, and we're like, wait a minute, this tactics card really doesn't make a lot of sense. And then the rule book doesn't even tell you what this symbol means. I had to figure it out on my own. But anyways, so this is your tactics deck. You're just going to shuffle this up. You're going to start with a certain number of tactics cards. It depends on your general. We'll talk about that here in a second. Every normal player, human player, is going to place 3 of their clerks over here in this area. It can be off the board. It can be on the board. Qin Jiushao and the Reed clan don't have to put theirs over there. We'll talk about why here in a second. All right, and then this is where you are going to place and you can see this board is so big it doesn't even fit on my table with my camera rig. But this is the draw pile for the advisor deck, and then you have 4 advisors that you get to choose from. The ones at the top are going to be removed at the end of every round, and so you'll cycle through them. That's pretty much it for the main board here. Let's talk about what you need as the human player then in front of you. So you're going to be dealt 2 general cards at random. You're going to flip them over, and you are going to decide which one you want to be, who you want to represent you for this game. The other one's just going to be put back in the box. So the ability at the top here is an ongoing effect throughout the game, and it'll let you know when it triggers. For example, here, each time you upgrade, that's going to be upgrading your overseers here. You get 2 times the number of support advisors you have underneath you in honor, so victory points.
Whereas Han Zhishuang, each time you play a tactics card, get 2 times the number of support advisors in Qi. So that's gaining a resource instead of honor. So the dragon head symbol, the just black and white dragon head symbol, that's the symbol for honor. And the black white scroll in a black background, that's the symbol for support advisors. This little symbol here that looks like a football play matches this. That's the symbol for tactics cards. You'll learn all of this stuff along the way, but anytime they talk about like upgrading resources, they're talking about upgrading your overseers, because you don't actually upgrade resources. You're upgrading your overseer in this area. All right, so let's just say, for example, we're going to pick Song Si here. He's going to be my general. All right. Also, at the bottom here, you can see that these are my starting resources. So the only time you pay attention to this bottom section here, I can lift this up closer so you guys can see, is at the beginning of the game. So these are my starting resources. I actually don't get any tactics cards, and that's a pretty high T value to begin with. So there's a pretty good chance I might have been starting at the top of the T track anyways. So I'm going to set this guy off to the side here in my player area. I'm also going to have been dealt 2 random advisor cards. So I get to flip these over. And let's just take a closer look at these here. So this one says, each time you recruit a horseman, you may choose to place it in a rest zone to recruit 1 spearman and 1 archer in the same rest zone for free. Okay, so that's an interesting card. The tactics behind that are rather interesting, and I'll maybe get into that in a little bit. This one here says, after your activation step, perform 1 advanced activation. That one's much more straightforward, but again, it's going to make more sense later on. I'm actually going to take the Tyrant as my advisor. So I'm going to get this passive ability throughout the game. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put this out here so you guys can all see. This is normally in front of me. I'm going to put my general out. I'm going to put my advisor out. So these 2 abilities I can read throughout the game. I'm going to take this other one that I did not choose, and I'm going to flip it over. All the advisors have this black scroll symbol on the back of them, and they tell you to tuck them under here. You don't necessarily have to do that if you have space, but this now means that anytime I upgrade an overseer, I'm going to get 2 times, right now I just have 1, in honor points. So at this stage, each time I upgrade, I would get 2 honor points. Throughout the game, obviously, you're going to have the chance to add advisors to your repertoire here, to your tableau, and you're going to either be able to add them as advisors, true advisors here, where you're going to get to utilize whatever text they have, or you can flip them over and increase this engine, whatever your engine may be. But you can't flip them back and forth. Once you flip them over, he stays flipped over. Or once you accept someone face up, he stays face up. So, interesting choices throughout the game. It's the same cost to hire the advisor, whether you're going to flip them over or keep them up. So I'm going to pull this stuff down and kind of set up my player area now. And again, we put 3 clerks over here, so that's going to leave you with 5 more. All right, you kind of want to keep these guys separated from the rest of your meeples, because you're going to be using your clerks a lot. And then you're going to have all your soldier meeples. These can just kind of go in a pile somewhere nearby. The last thing you're going to want to do is find your 6 command cards in your player color. So I'm playing as red. So here are my 6 command cards. You're not randomly drawing these. You can see these. If you were playing multiplayer, especially semi-co-op, you would want to kind of keep these close to the vest. So you would be able to see them, but you wouldn't want anyone else to see which card you're choosing or which ones you have left. Okay, so that does it for you as the human player and what you need. Let's now talk about the Reed clan, because these are the easiest guys to implement, and this is what you'll be implementing if you want to play a two-player game, or if you want to play like a two-player cooperative game. Anytime you need to get that count up to 3 players, you're going to add in the Reed clan. So the Reed clan has a special general card that you're going to pull out. There's 2 of them. This is assuming if you're playing with 2 people, you can each have a card, because there's a lot of reference stuff on here. So that's why there's 2. But you're going to want to pull out the Reed clan general card and also the Reed clan command card. It is only one. So they're going to do the exact same thing every time. So pretty predictable. Take this, set this off to the side. You're going to take then 3 of their clerks, and only 3. All right, leave the rest in the box. And you're going to place them starting in the 3 basic resource locations. So wood, stone, and gold. We'll talk more about how those guys are going to move around the board in a little bit. And you can go ahead and pull out all of their spearmen. The Reed clan never deals with archers or horsemen, so you can leave those in the box as well. They don't deal in advisors, they don't deal in honor, so you'll notice they don't have an honor token, but they do, it does matter sometimes where they are in the T-track, so they do have a T-track token. All right, so for now, as far as setup is concerned, that's all we need to know for the Reed clan. Then we have Qi, and I'm honestly not sure if it's Qi or Qin, because in the rulebook it's Qin, Q-I-N, and on his card here it's Q-U-I. So I tend to call him Qin Jiushao. If it should be Qin Jiushao, somebody please let me know in the comment section below, because I honestly don't know which one it's supposed to be. But anyways, he has his own unique general card. I believe these all, yeah, see, it looks all the same on the back, but he has his specific general card, all right? And basically, he gets everything that you would get at the beginning of the game. So he has an honor token. He has a T-track token. He's actually going to be dealt 2 random advisor cards, but these don't even matter. He never takes on advisors for their face-up text value. He only cares about supporting advisors, keeping them face down like this. So you're gonna first automatically take these, and I'm just gonna place these down in the player area. Then you're going to take 1 of each type of resource. So these are the basic resources: wood, stone, gold, chi, and then the wound token represents the barracks. So these are the only places that Qin Jiushao cares about going to. He is never going to go, he doesn't deal in tactics cards, he's never going to go here. He's going to get advisors at the end of every round for free, so he's never going to go over here. He's never going to go over here to move people from the rest area, because he never saves his soldiers. He never cares about T-track order. He's going to get a free boost at some point. He never cares about building the wall. All he really cares about is gaining resources, which is going to give him honor as quickly as possible, and beating you in honor. He's like a spoiled brat child. Anyways, so you take 1 of each type of resource, the wound marker representing the barracks, and you're going to kind of, shuffle them up, and as best you can, kind of drop them out in random order here. So, all right, so there we go. So now this track is important, and we'll talk about that here in a second when we go get into how to play the game. But just note that you will be moving these around, and they will be shifting and kind of constantly moving from this end up to here and pushing stuff down. So in the first game I played, I had, these advisor cards stacked under here just like they advise you to do in the rule book, and that's the example they show you. But it's quite a pain to constantly have to lift up the bottom of the card to slide another advisor in and not mess up your resources, which are just sitting there. This method is a little fiddly, but it works at the end of the day. But my advice for you to make it a little less fiddly
is to just keep your advisors clearly out from under the card. All right, so for now, I'm going to, okay, didn't quite make it. Put him over here. The last thing you need to do for Qin Jiushao is to give him some starting overseers. So he actually gets to start the game with overseer in each of the level 1 spots of the 4 resources. But he has to use 2 horsemen to do that and 2 spearmen. So he's actually giving up all of his horsemen. You only get 2 horsemen for the entire game. And he's already giving them up as overseers. So he's never going to recruit a horseman, and he gets 2 less spearmen to recruit. All right, but that now does it for the solo AI. There's like the third player AI, the Reed Clan General, and the solo AI, Qin Jiushao. Again, he gets all of his clerks from the start of the game. He doesn't put any over here. And the Reed Clan, they only have 3 clerks, and they start on the board, and they only get their spearmen. So I think that covers everything. Again, also, Qin Jiushao here does not ever gain resources. He's only ever going to use the resources that are on his card that you're going to use to track what his priority is. Oh, one last thing. So the Reed Clan has a single command card. You have 6 command cards. Qin Jiushao here has 6 unique command cards. They look exactly the same on the back, so it's a little hard to tell, but you can see that these do not have a clan symbol. So I'm like the fiery dragons. The Reed Clan command card is very straightforward, but you can see that these guys here don't have, this one's actually a little slightly different color, don't have a clan symbol in the upper left corner, and they're going to say different things, but the names of them, if you notice, are exactly the same. So if I order mine here, boom, 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 you can see that the names are exactly the same. And that makes a difference because sometimes the cards will say, all right, you'll get a bonus if there's a certain type of card out that somebody else put out. So, all right, so Qin Jiushao has got his specific command deck. What you're going to want to do is shuffle these up because this is hidden information for you. So shuffle these up and just put it in a face down pile somewhere near his stuff. Okay. All right. Now we are set up to play the game for a true solo experience. So this is going to be a competitive experience where we are attempting to beat Qin Jiushao here in honor, all while staving off the Horde. So let's talk about activations first. Essentially, this is a worker placement game. It's about gaining resources to then spend those resources either on recruiting soldiers, building sections of the wall, hiring advisors, or hiring additional clerks. All in the name of defending against these incoming hordes. All right. So the 4 main spaces that you can gain these resources are these ones here at the bottom with these red circles. Now these red circles are here because they need to be filled by meeples, by your workers, and they need to be filled completely before they will activate. So you could spend an entire round placing some clerks out there, and if it looks like that, they are not going to activate. Nobody's going to get any gold. All right? And they'll just stay there until the next round. Now, that means you have, for example, me as the red player has 2 less clerks to deal with. I can, if I choose, if I am given the instructions to
place a clerk, I can take a clerk away from a spot he's already placed and move him somewhere else. But again, he basically sat there the whole time and wasted his life away not getting the gold. So these spots, these red spots, need to be completely filled in order to activate and actually get those resources. This is not one of those instances where you place a worker and you immediately get the resource. You place the worker and then you hope that that area activates. You don't hope. You can usually kind of strategically know when whether or not it's going to activate. But if, for example, this guy was over here later on in the game, and I really wanted stone. I really wanted a lot of stone, and I wanted to make sure it activated. And I sent 3 workers to that one location, and I'm the only person there gaining stone. I would gain a shame token when this area activated. So remember we talked about our shame tokens here? So this shame token would come to me. I'm going to talk about what you do with it here in a little bit. But just know that ideally you don't want to be the only person at a location. You don't want to hoard resources or a certain type of resource. You can also see that if you're the only one that goes to the barracks to recruit soldiers, you will get a shame token. All the other locations are fine. You could be the only one getting an advisor. You could be the only one at the tea house. I forget what this building is called, but strategy center or something like that. You can be the only person building a wall, and you're fine. So anywhere you see the shame flag symbol, you don't want to be the only person there. You want to have a variety of colors. Okay, so let's kind of bring everybody back. Now, the areas with the red circles, remember, need to be completely filled before that area will activate. So if you want a tactics card, you either need to send 2 people here, and again, this one doesn't matter. See, there's no shame symbol. You either need to send 2 people here. In this case, you'd get 2 tactics cards, or you better be pretty sure that somebody else is going to go there as well, because that this area will not activate until both those slots are full. Same thing with the tea house. Then there's the slots in green. These are called special locations. It doesn't matter how many people are there. They will activate even if just one person is there. And there's no limit. You can put as many meeples as you want down there, whereas like only 3 people can go and collect stone each activation. But you can put as many people as you want into these green circles. And other than the barracks, it doesn't matter if you're the only one. And if there is only one person there, then it's going to activate no matter what. So you can always take advantage of moving people along your wall sections. You can always recruit. If you're the only one there, you're going to take a shame token. You can always build a wall section. So you don't have to worry about whether or not other people are going there as well. So when you activate a location, for the most part, I'm referring to these resource locations down here at the bottom. There are several steps that you're going to go through. You're going to gather your resources first. You're going to upgrade your overseer if you choose. You're going to donate if you choose, and then you're going to return your clerks or get back your clerks. So let's just go through that real quickly. So we have, gone through one of our cards here. We have decided we're going to activate the stone quarry. So we're going to go through in T order, and so the red player would go first. He would claim his 1 stone for being here, and then he has the option to upgrade an overseer. Well, an overseer has to be one of your military people. So it can be a spearman. That's what people usually use, but it can be anybody, really. And if you don't already have an overseer, you simply pay the resources that are listed right here to place them in this first section. And then you can see you can upgrade them for 3 and then upgrade them for 4. So each section, each basic resource has a different resource that is needed to upgrade the overseer. So upgrading the first time means placing it on the board. Then after that, you're simply moving it along. In the future, and it's important that you
this step happens after the gather resources, because the first time you place an overseer, you're not going to get the bonus of the overseer. But in future, if this site is activated and I have upgraded my overseer this far, I get 1 for my 1 person, but I also get +3 for my overseer. So I get a total of 4 stone now for simply sending 1 person. Now, if I were to have, say, 2 people here, it still is just 2 for these 2 guys +3. The modifier for the overseer is not multiplied by your clerks. Then, after you have chosen, so you've collected your resources, you have chosen whether or not you want to upgrade your overseer, you can then choose to donate 1 of your resources to the warehouse, which is this area in the black here, and you can see that there's only these 3 main ones that you can donate, and that's because these are the resources that are used to build the walls. And anytime somebody goes over here to build, they can use these resources first, and the AI will definitely use these resources. And that's essentially all the Reed clan members are doing, are donating to the warehouse. So you can choose to donate to the warehouse if you want. You're going to get 2 honor for doing so. But that's, again, it's your choice. So you collect your resources, you make those 2 choices, and then finally you gather back your clerks. So that is the full activation step for these bottom locations. When you activate these special locations or anything else that's not on the resource track, you don't have the options to donate. You don't have overseers, so you simply activate and then pull back your clerks. Okay, so we have gotten that out of the way. Let's now talk about how you go about taking out these Horde cards. Well, that's where your soldier meeples come in. So everybody has access, and this is just in the base game. I'm not going to cover bannermen. I'm not going to cover unique warriors from the Black Powder expansion, anything like that. This is just the base game. So in the base game, everybody has access to 3 types of soldiers: horsemen, spearmen, and archers. Now, when you go to the barracks and you recruit a soldier, they immediately run out and attack the Horde card. And they will just stay out here until the Horde card is defeated, essentially. When you recruit a spearman or a horseman, you are going to place them onto these spots on the Horde card. You're going to cover them up, and you're going to gain the resources that you cover up. Now, the horsemen cover up 2 spots at a time, and they have to cover up 2 spots. You could not do, say, this. That's not legal. You could not do that. That's not legal. They have to be orthogonally adjacent for the horseman. The spearman is just a single guy. He can be put anywhere, but the spearman can only, he's on foot. He can only get as far as this front line of Horde cards. So if you start stacking up Horde cards, he's going to be useless. He can't get way back here. The horseman, however, can. Also, the archer can. Archers, however, they don't run into battle. They're not dummies. They fire from the wall. So at the moment, when there's no wall sections, there's only 1 spot for an archer in each section. They need to go on these red spots right here. When they do, if you are successful in placing one, they're going to fire off here, and that's where these wound markers come into play. You can place a wound marker to cover up one of these vital spots on the Horde card. However, when you fire with an archer, you don't get the benefit of what you covered up. So this archer would not have gained 2 honor in this instance, whereas this spearman would have gained 2 honor. Either way, say I recruit all of this business here, and that's like that. That's just going to sit there. These people are going to sit here. These wound marker, all this stuff is going to sit here until this card is either defeated or it breaches the wall. All right. So this is how you go about defending the Great Wall. Now, as you build up the wall pieces will have more spots for archers. The higher you build it, the more spots there are, so on and so forth. Okay. So now that we have those 2 main game components in mind, let's now talk about your command cards, because these are the crux of the game. These are what help you determine like how many clerks you can send out, whether or not you're going to take advanced actions or attack actions and things like that. So these are very important. What you're going to be doing in a competitive game is randomly picking one, placing it face down. Once everyone has picked theirs, then you're going to, in T-track order, so whoever's on top is the first player. First player will flip theirs over. They're saying, all right, I'm doing attack order, but I want to go second. And so he'd place it on this track wherever he wants it to be. He does not always have to go first if he's first in the T order. He could go last if he wants to. It's that person's choice. All right. When you are playing with Qin Jiushao, you're going to randomly draw his top card and place it in the first available slot. So if he happens to end up at the top of the T track, the first thing you do is draw his card. Actually, you need to technically claim your card. You need to choose your card first. But then you pick up his card, flip it over, you've got your card, then you get to pick, and then the Reed clan goes. Or say, for example, you're all the way at the bottom and the Reed clan is on top. I doubt it's going to happen that way, but it could. The Reed clan would place their card out first, then Qin Jiushao in this instance, and then myself. But we always start the game with me choosing. Either way. So the Reed clan's always going to put this card out wherever basically the third empty slot is, since they're at the bottom. Qin Jiushao is always going to draw his top card from his deck here. You, however, get to pick. So let's just quickly take a look at some of these, and so you can see what the differences in some of them are. So this is attack order. This one essentially is letting you recruit soldiers for free, but also move soldiers from the rest area, which is back here behind the walls. After a Horde card is defeated, you're going to lose some of those soldiers. If you pay to save them, they come back here behind the wall, so you don't have to recruit them anymore, but you would need an attack order card to push them back out into battle again. You will notice, however, that all the cards have a section here, and then they all have a other players section. Because this means, even though you chose this card and you are the only one who gets to do this top part, everybody else is going to get to do something on your turn as well, and then it's going to come back to you and you're going to get a choice. That's how most of these cards are set up, except for the Betrayal one. So that is attack order. Raise banners here allows you to move clerks to locations. So again, this is how you're placing workers out. Then it's going to give everyone else a chance to place some workers out. And then it's going to, in this instance, you would want to take advantage of doubling up at the barracks. But only you're getting that advantage. Let's save that one. Here, despotism, you're putting out clerks. The other people are putting out clerks, and then you're allowed to take an advanced activation. Now, what is an advanced activation, you might ask? Remember how we talked about how normally these spaces here needed to be full in order to activate? Well, an advanced activation allows you to activate a site no matter how many people are there. So if just 2 people were here at the gold, but you really needed gold and you had played the despotism card, you could activate the gold mine. Everybody in here is going to gain that benefit, but you didn't have to wait for it to be filled. You can also do advanced activations in these big special locations. If that's really what you want to have activate, you can go ahead and do that. But for the most part, you're going to want to do an advanced activation to have one of these fire off before they're full. Also, when you do an advanced activation, if you happen to be the only person there, say you were here and you really needed a chi, you do not take shame for advanced activations. So Those are the two bonuses for advanced activations versus regular activations, is that you don't have to have the full resource spots filled, and you don't take shame. All right, let's look at the rest of these. Economy here is basically upgrading, like we said, an overseer for free, moving some clerks around. Then everyone else is going to get to move some clerks around. There's no bottom one for you there. Work harder here. This is where you get to move all of your clerks. So if you have purchased some extras over here, you get to move a bunch. Everyone else gets to move too. And then you may perform, if somebody else has played an attack order card, you can do an advanced activation. And then last but not least is the betrayal card, where you actually get to copy someone else's card. That it's got to be one that they have played out this turn. The tricky thing for betrayal is that you cannot reclaim that card. So once you play cards, and they've been sitting out here for a while, at the beginning of the next round, these cards are going to be cleared away and they're going to be put over here. You have the choice to reclaim these cards if you want to. So you have your full hand, or say 3 rounds has gone by and you have 3 cards sitting over here, you could then choose to reclaim them. But if you choose not to reclaim your cards, you get 2 honor for every card that you've left over here. There is enough cards in your hand that you could technically play 1 each round, because there's only 6 rounds and you have 6 cards. So you could play 1 each round and never duplicate your actions, and just gain honor the whole game. But that doesn't always work. Cards like Work Harder come in very handy, and Attack Order comes in super handy if you are in the business of saving your soldiers and have them back here on the rest area. So you may really need to get these cards back. But that's also where Betrayal comes in. If you know someone's about to play an Attack Order card and you've already played yours, you could play Betrayal and copy their Attack Order. The thing is, with Betrayal, it's a one-time use card. After you've used it and it goes over here, that one cannot be reclaimed. So that is what we're doing. This is how we're deciding what actions, how many clerks we get to send in each person's turn. So a round starts with bringing new Horde cards in, gaining some resources from your overseers, refreshing the advisor track, all that kind of stuff. Then everyone's going to secretly choose a card, and then they're going to be placed based on preference of the turn order people. They're going to be placed out here, and then each person's going to get a turn to be the active player, and they're going to activate their card from top to bottom. Now remember that everybody's card has an area where other people get to do stuff too, so it's not like you're ever sitting around for a very long time twiddling your thumbs. Once each person has gotten their turn, then you're going to do one more round of firing with your archers at the Horde phase. Then you're going to check to see if they breach any of the walls, and then we roll into the next round. So after you have gone through your cards, let's say you played a Work Harder card. We'll just put the Reclaim card here as an example. So I go first. I work my way from top to bottom down the card. I have done everything on the card. Once I have gotten to the end of my card, we look to see if any locations will activate. So we look to see, do any of the resource locations, are they full? We're going to activate those. Are there any workers in any of these green special locations? We're going to activate those. If you are the active player, if it's your card that you just went through, you get to decide which order you activate everything. And that can make a difference. You could have someone sitting here at the barracks, but you may need stone in order to hire that spearman, so you're going to activate the stone quarry first before you activate the barracks. Because those resources you finally gain when a area activates are yours immediately.
Even though when you place the worker you didn't get them, when this area activates, then you gain those resources immediately. So after I would go, then it would be the Reed Clan Commander's turn. We'd go through his card top to bottom, and we'll talk about how we do their stuff here in a second. But then we'd have an activation phase. And remember, I'm getting to move people. I'm getting to put clerks out on every person's turn, no matter what, except for the Betrayal card, which we highlighted as it's a Betrayal card for a reason, because nobody else gets to do anything, and you're copycatting them and all sorts of things. But at the end of their card, then we're going to do an activation. Okay. So, after you have gone through and everybody's gotten a turn to be an active player, the next thing you're going to do is the archers are going to get one last pot shot on all the Horde cards, and then you're going to check to see if the Horde cards are going to breach the wall. If they do, bad things happen. We'll talk more about that here in a little bit. Assuming you have held up and the walls have held up and you have kind of hurt the Horde but not let them come in past the wall, in the winter phase you're going to have to remove all the barricades, start all over with them, and like I said, then you're going to be bringing more Horde cards in. We'll get to all that here in a little bit. Let's talk about how these two AIs activate. So, the Reed Clan command card here is very straightforward. Alright, they always start with donating 2 stone from the resource pool, and that's just, your resource tray over here. They're always going to donate 2 to the resource pool, and then they're going to check to see, is there enough in the donation area in the warehouse that they could build a wall section. So right off the bat, it only takes 5 of any resource to build a wall section. So is there 5 of any resource in here? If there is, the Reed clan is going to go ahead and build that wall section, and that's it, because they don't care about honor. They don't care about the honor you gain from building a wall. Most of the time, though, they're just going to donate 2, and there's not going to be enough there to build a wall, and they'll move on. Then you'll see that there is the area here where all of us get to place out all other players, so we're not worried about the Reed clan commander. All of us get to place out 2 workers of our choice. Then they always finish up with performing an advanced activation in each location that has their clerk in it. So there's always 3. There's only ever going to be 3. So you will know as you're putting your workers out which areas are going to be activating, because it's going to be an advanced activation. Alright, so they're going to activate whether they're full or not. And, there's not going to be shame or anything else like that. So consider that when you're placing out your clerks. Now, when a clerk from a Reed clan activates, they don't take that resource. They basically donate that resource. There's only ever going to be 1 clerk at a certain area. You cannot double up clerks if you get the option to move them from the Reed clan. There can only ever be 1 in each location, or any given location. And they don't have overseers. So they're just going to, if this activates, they would donate 1 gold. If this activates, they donate 1 stone. Now, this is not clear in the rule books. I have posed the question on BGG and gotten various answers. If, say for example, you don't care about gold, Qin Jiushao doesn't care about gold, if nobody goes here and the Reed clan commander has just gone through his card, does this single guy activate? I'm thinking yes, because the rule book specifically says it does not, but it also doesn't say it does. Does he donate to the warehouse or not? All this does is speed up the production of the walls, because it produces more resources in the warehouse, which everybody has access to use. Obviously, if another
clerk is at that location, they're definitely activating. But the question is, if a Reed Clan clerk is the only one at that location, does it activate? Now, the rulebook does state that if a Reed Clan member is the only clerk in a special location, it does not activate. So if these guys are the only ones here at the barracks, then they don't recruit a soldier, which would be handy because you could just leave one here and know that literally every activation phase they're going to send a free soldier out. It would drastically make this easier. But we know that if they're in a green circle by themselves, they don't activate even on an advanced activation. So that's why I and some other people tend to think that if they're on a resource track, that they will activate even if they're by themselves. Again, all that does is put resources into the warehouse. That's the only thing the Reed Clan really is good for, is helping you fill up these spots, keeping you from gaining shame because they represent another faction, and donating to the warehouse, which everyone can use to build barricades and wall sections. So that is the Reed Clan in a nutshell. Again, if they happen to be in some of these other places where it's not resource bound, there's a few things that they are going to do. If they're in the barracks, they're going to simply recruit, again for free, one spearman. If you as the human player at the top of the T-track, you get to choose where they go. If Qin Jiushao happens to be the person, the active player, or the person at the top of the T-track, they will position them based on his rules, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. If they happen to be here in the Qi spot, Qi does not work. It's not a resource you can build with. It's, ethereal or whatever the word is. So if they happen to be here in the Qi spot and they activate, the active player can actually discard or put back a shame token. If you don't have a shame token, or it's Qin Jiushao who's the active player, then nothing happens. If they happen to be at the T house, then they would get to move their marker up one spot in the tower here. If they happen to be over here in the builder's encampment, remember, they will automatically build a wall if there's enough resources every time their card starts. If they're placed over here, however, and they activate, they're simply going to build a barricade for free. All right. If they come here to where you can what is that symbol? Oh, if they come here to the Emperor's Embassy, I've never placed them here. I don't know why you would. I guess it allows you to discard one of these advisors. If you wanted to see what the top one was on the card here, you could chuck one and refresh the pile a little bit. But I honestly don't see the point in that. And this location, nothing happens as well, so it would be pointless to put them here. Okay. All right. So, how do these guys get moved around, you might ask? Well, when, say for example, it's your turn and you're activating, and you've moved each of your clerks out there. When it comes time to other players move up to 2 clerks to any locations, you can move 2 of the Reed Clan commander's clerks. You are the active player, so you get to manipulate where they go. You could put them in any location. So you could pick up this one guy and put him over here. Again, I don't see the point in that. You could even put him over here. Technically, he's not going to do anything. Say you wanted him to be higher than the Qin Jiushao on the T-track. You could put him right there. Say you want to be able to go to the barracks and not get shame. You could put him right there. So again, any 2, you can move to any spot you want, but you can't double them up.
All right. And that's pretty, and you can only move 2. That was the other thing I wanted to say. All right. So that pretty much covers the Reed clan. Again, they never gain resources. They never claim resources. They don't deal in honor or anything like that. If they have soldiers on cards when this card is defeated or breaches, they don't save the soldiers. The soldiers just go back to their pool. All of this is on their card. It's pretty straightforward. So let's pull this off here so we don't get confused. All right. So that was the Reed clan command card. Let's talk about Qin Jiushao here. And let's go through his what his cards look like. So his cards look very similar, but they're going to read a little differently, and you're going to have to pay attention to which resources on this track where they are. So let's put Betrayal at the bottom. Let's look at Ray's banners here. It says, oh, this is a tricky one. This says defeat all Horde cards. That's that symbol with the crossed swords with less than the amount of advisors you have. So remember, he starts the game with 2. So in this instance, if there was less than 2 not wounded vital spots, so all of them are covered up except 2 or 1, he would take out that Horde card for free. If no Horde card was defeated, recruit a number of spearmen times the number of advisors he has, and he's going to put them out in a location, and then move up to the number of clerks based on the number of advisors you have to your lowest location. Okay, there we go, lowest. This is the lowest location. This is the highest location. Okay, so in this instance, he would try and move 2 clerks, 1, 2, to the chi spot. Okay, putting clerks out for him, let's put 2 as clerks out, does not change this track. All right, we'll talk about when that track gets updated here in a second. But then all other players get to move 2 to any 2 locations. So in this instance, Qin Jiushao here is the active player. So in T order, I would get to place out my 2 people. Let's just say I put them here and here. Then the Reed clan gets to have their players manipulated, but Qin Jiushao is going to be doing the manipulating. So how do we decide where he would want to put the Reed clan members? Well, he obviously wants to have them supporting his lowest resources, because that's where he's sending his, he always sends his clerks to the lowest resources areas. Think of this as what he has the least of. He has the lowest number of chi, so that's what he's trying to gather. So in this instance, he would say, yes, I want a clerk, a Reed clan clerk over here so that I can activate this spot. That's smart. Well, which one of these would he choose to take? Well, then let's look up the line. His next most important thing is gold. So he's not going to take this guy. He's already at gold, helping him out at gold. His next most important one is stone. There's a Reed clan member at stone, so he wouldn't mess with that one. So then he's going to take this one. Even though lumber is up here, it's way up here. So this becomes the worker he takes, or the clerk he takes, and he places it there. If there's ever a clerk up here, like in one of these spots that Qin Jiushao never goes to, remember he's only ever going to go to chi, gold, stone, wood, or barracks, he's automatically going to take that one. He's going to know, all right, that guy's worthless to me in that spot, so I'm going to move him and put him where it's important to me. And then say, for example, let's say this is how it looked, okay? So he wants to fill this chi spot, and it's a question of where is he going to take it from. There's nobody to take from gold. He wants someone at stone. He also wants someone at barracks eventually, but not right now. So he'd actually take this one from the barracks, and he gets to move 2. So then he would go next in his priority and say, ooh, I really want someone here. I don't want to take him from stone. I'll take him from wood. This makes a lot of logical sense in my mind. Maybe it's because of I've played it enough that it just makes perfect sense to me. But you don't ever just look for the lowest. He always wants to move 2. But if, say, for example, this is what the clerks already looked like, he wants him at Qi, he wants him at gold, and he wants him at stone, he wouldn't move any. He doesn't have to move them. He wants to move them to cover which resources are at the lowest part of his track here. So in this instance, he wouldn't move any. Otherwise, he's going to move 2, or up to 2, to best fulfill these bottom 3 resources here. So, all right. So let's quickly look through his other cards here. For example, this one here says, on the location track, compare stone versus Qi. In this case, Qi is lower, stone is higher. If Qi is higher, nope. So if stone is higher, recruit a number of spearmen times your advisors. So you can see the amount of advisors he has comes into play a lot. And then all of the players get to do something. Here we have the economy card. So in this instance, he would get to upgrade all of his overseer spots. That wouldn't necessarily, that's the only time he would get to do that. Then he's going to get to move clerks. And again, it's move clerks to the lowest location. So he's going to move as many clerks as he can, or in this instance, 2, in this case, Qi. Work harder is moving clerks to the lowest location. Despotism is automatically moving up on the T track and then moving clerks to the lowest location. And then Betrayal works a little differently. He's hiring an advisor for free. He's moving clerks, and then he's reclaiming his command cards. So whenever this one comes out, but this card cannot be reclaimed. So say he's played, 3 cards already, and they're sitting over here. He never chooses to reclaim them until he plays the Betrayal card. At the end of everything, once the Betrayal card is out, he'll reclaim these. He won't get the honor for them, and the Betrayal card will go over there. We'll then shuffle up his deck, since we added cards back to it. And that means he could repeat which ones he is going to play with. So, last thing I want to cover for him, or last 2 things, is, sorry, how does this track change? Well, he places workers out based on this track, but then once a location activates with him in it, he would then move this to the top, and everything shifts down. So if this location activates and he actually gains Qi, which he doesn't really, then he moves it up. If, for example, I go here and the Reed clan's here, and so we activate the barracks, he does not shift this up because he was not there. He did not gain benefit from that. Now, anytime he gains a resource, or would gain a resource, he is simply going to gain 1 honor for each worker he has here. So if he has multiple workers here, say he filled up the Qi track. All right, in this instance, he would get 3 honor times wherever his overseer is. Right now, his overseer is at level 1, so this is just 3 honor. But if his overseer was at level 2, it'd be 1, 2, 3 times 2 is 6. So again, he doesn't take resources. He doesn't deal in resources. The only thing he cares about is pushing up his honor. All right. The only other place he goes to is the barracks. If he goes to the barracks, he doesn't get honor. He will actually recruit a spearman. All right. There's actually only that 1 card that gives him the opportunity to recruit archers. Otherwise, he doesn't deal in archers very much. If he goes to the barracks, like so, for every clerk here, he will recruit 1 spearman. So if he has multiple clerks here, he will recruit multiple spearmen. When he goes to place them out, he's going to look at this card. And he's going to look to see where the Horde symbol is here. And he's going to place them in this instance. He would place it on this card. All right. And then he's always going to start from the top left of the card and work his way down and to the right. So he would go here and here. All right. When he places these people on, he would get the 2 honor here, and instead of gaining chi, he would just gain 2 more honor. So when it comes to him placing soldiers, basically everything looks like this underneath him. 2 honor, 2 honor, 2 honor. And that is pretty much it at the end of, or actually I think it's at the beginning of every round in the spring phase. When you refresh the advisor track, you are going to take the top 2 advisors there off the track and push these 2 up and deal out 2 more. Of those 2 you remove, one of them is going to come and be added to Qin Jiushao's advisor count here. So he's going to be slowly, steadily building that engine. The other one can be discarded or placed on the bottom. All right. So I believe I have covered everything there is to cover. So real quickly, let's talk about Horde cards here. Just so you are aware, you know, if you build a wall section, you're going to spend the resources here to put the new section of wall out, and this is the amount of honor you get for doing so. If there happens to be an archer already in this spot or on any of these other spots, you simply move them onto one of these available spots. And you can see as you build up the walls, the defensive value gets higher. So in this instance, this wall would be enough to hold back this horde. But if there was a second card here, say this is what that looked like, it would not be enough because these guys are all pushing. All right, they're all trying to breach the wall. Technically this would be 8, 10, 12, 14, so it would be enough. But say for example these barracks weren't here, it'd be 8 and 8, the 6, this wall would be breached. But let's talk about what happens if all of these spots on a horde card are covered up. At the end of every activation phase, so at the end of every time that somebody goes to their card and activates, you're going to check to see if a horde card is defeated. If it is, you're going to pass out some points and somebody's going to get that card. So what you do is for every one faction that has a spearman or horseman on the card gets 2. Any person that has a archer in this same wall section gets 2. All right. You don't get to multiply that. You don't get points for every single spearman. It's just, do you have a spearman or a horseman? Check, 2 points. Do you have an archer on the wall? Check, 2 points. Otherwise, you just keep going. Then you're going to look to see who has the most people on the card. Remember, archers just leave those red tokens, so those don't count. So in this instance, Qin Jiushao has the most because he's got the only 2. Qin Jiushao would claim this card. This card is going to be worth 8 victory points at the end of the game, assuming you don't have to deal with shame. So after you've determined who's going to claim the card, then you have to look up to this track right here to see how many soldiers are going to get killed off a card. Anytime a card is removed from the board here, you check vitality. And these first couple rounds is just 1 soldier. So each faction that has people on the card is going to lose 1 soldier. So they have to die. Now, normally they would just go back to your pool, which is going to be what happens for Qin Jiushao and the Reed clan. They're always going to go back. But say it was my spearman, I have the choice to spend 2 chi to save him. And then everybody else that made it past the vitality check is going to go behind the wall into this rest area. Remember, that's where the attack order card comes in handy to get them out of the rest area back onto the battlefield. Now you can choose to let those people die. You don't have to pay the 2 chi. You may not have the 2 chi. Either way, once you've determined who all's dying from this horde card, whoever had the most gets to claim it. They're going to flip it over and put it in their player area upside down. Because when you gain a shame token, you have to put it one of 2 places. we talked about how you gain shame over here. You can either place it, there's 2 empty slots on the back of a Horde card. So if you have claimed a Horde card previously, you could put a shame token here or here. Or you could take a shame token and it would have to go underneath one of your soldiers. That soldier is locked if it has a shame token under it. It cannot be recruited. So you could have a whole pile of shame tokens over here under a whole bunch of soldiers, and then you can't really do much with your army. All right. You are given the opportunity in every spring phase to pay 2 chi to give the shame token back, which means you would free up that soldier, or you would free it up off the Horde card. Because at the end of the game, if a Horde card has shame tokens on them, you don't get to flip them over. It's like it's keeping them face down. You don't get to flip them over and score the VP. That's why you don't score the VP immediately for claiming a Horde card. You have to flip it over and wait till the end of the game, because you hope that it doesn't take shame tokens. All right. So after we've done all that, we've done the defeat Horde check step. And we've pulled all our people back. Technically, this card would go away, and this card would get pushed up. So, what happens again at the end once everybody has had their turn? We go into winter. Winter has a few phases, additional phases that all deal with the Horde cards here. First of all, any archers on any wall sections get to take another shot. So this guy could have fired earlier and done that. He gets to fire again and do that. And that could be the killing blow on a Horde card. So, in the winter, after you have a firing phase, you have a quick, did a Horde card get defeated check. If it did, you get to remove those, because you get to remove it before you check the Horde strength against the wall strength. So, that could be very important. It could be, you could have one spot left to fill, and you could know, I'm going to get it one last chance with that archer to take out this Horde card before we compare values. So, you have a firing step. Then you have is the Horde card defeated step. Then you're going to compare power. In this instance, these cards would be breaching. In this instance, they would not, even in this instance, because a barricade provides 2 defense. So 2, 4, 6, blocked. 8, blocked. In this instance, the Horde cards would just sit here. All soldiers on them and wound markers on them would stay put. Nothing happens. But again, if the Horde cards have a higher value, they're going to breach the wall. So in this instance, we're going to be picking up Horde cards, removing them. So we're going to do a vitality check. You're going to go through and you're going to have to kill off soldiers based on the vitality number. Also, anybody that didn't have a soldier on the card is going to take some shame because they didn't do their part to defend. Obviously, they didn't help take out the Horde card, and the Horde card got through. So if you don't have a soldier on the Horde card, you're going to take 2 shame, or maybe it's just 1 shame. You're going to take shame. And then the Horde card thematically is going to blow through the wall, so all the archers on the wall are killed. If anybody happens to be back here in the rest area, they are safe. For some reason, the Hordes just blow up to the wall, and then they stop. They don't ever do anything back here. But you're going to take a lot of shame. You're going to lose a lot of archers. Not good. So that's what happens if there's a breach. Now, say for example, later on down the game, you have all of these spots filled and you go to draw a new card, and you have no place to put it. You have a raid. Raids simply mean you discard that card that couldn't be placed, and you take away the number of shame tokens from the token pool equal to the number of players. It does not say specifically whether in a solo game that's just a 1 or is it 3, because I have Qin Jiushao, Reed Clan, and myself. So that's another one I'm still waiting on an answer for. Hasn't been quite clarified yet. But that's a raid, which is different from a breach. And that's going to happen when you're placing new Horde cards out in the spring. So when you place new Horde cards out in the spring, you're going to pick up the top card. All right, and then you're going to look at the card that is still face down to see where you put it. So this one is going to go in the center here. But if, for example, there's ever a blank space, the first one you pull off always fills in a blank row. Then the next one would go there. So you don't ever look at the card. You don't ever look at the card you're picking up. You look at the card that you're leaving behind as to where you place your Horde card. All right, so let's real quickly run through all of the steps of the game and just highlight where your focus is going to be for those steps. So this is, imagine you've gone through the first phase of the game, because things happen a little bit differently on your first round. For example, your Horde cards are already placed out, your barricades are out, things like that. But at the start of a new round, so let's go ahead and push this over to round 2. You're going to advance the time track. That's going to be the first thing you do. All right, so we just did that. You're going to place out new Horde cards. So we've talked about how these get added in based on this icon. Then you're going to refresh the advisor track. So over here, you're going to remove the top 2 or the left 2, and normally you just discard them. When you're playing against Qin Jiushao here, you're going to give one of them upside down to him at this stage. Then you're going to, add in, you're going to push these 2 up and fill in from the bottom. All right, that's all happening in the spring. Then we move to the summer. The summer, the first thing you're actually going to get to do is gain income based on your overseer level. So wherever your overseers are sitting, you're going to get that income that is listed above the box they're in. So it's a great way, if you have overseers at every level, to get a little bit of resources before you even start the new round. You also get the opportunity in the summer, to discard shame tokens. So if you've acquired a shame token and you've placed it on a Horde card like this, or you have it placed underneath one of your soldiers here, you can choose to pay 2 chi to discard it, to put it back into the pool. That would be freeing up your soldier to be able to use, or it's making it so at the end of the game you're going to score this Horde card, because any shame token that you still have at the end of the game is going to be -5 victory points. So big hits, especially if they're on the Horde cards. Okay, then, and the summer is when you would discard these, the command cards. So you're going to discard them, you're going to place them all over here, except the Reed clan commander. You don't ever discard this one because they only have one. You're going to discard them over here, and then you immediately have the option to retrieve any cards that you have over here. So whether it's just one, so whether you literally just put this one over here and you want to choose to retrieve it, you can. It doesn't cost you anything, except for the betrayal card. The betrayal cards are the only ones you cannot retrieve. If, however, you choose to leave them over here, you get 2 honor for every card that is in this stack. So the longer you leave a stack building up, the more honor you accumulate during the summer phase. All right, and that's everything that happens in the summer. The fall is the main portion of the game. That's where you're going to secretly choose a command card. You're then going to place them out here on the command track, and you're going to go through individually 1, 2, 3, and activate each one of those command cards, everybody getting a turn to be the active player. Remember that your specific turn, you go through your command card, then you have an activation where you activate all of the resource areas that are full and any of the special locations in green. And then at the end of every activation, you also check to see if any hordes have been defeated. You're going to do all that before you move on to the next person. And then last but not least, the stuff we mainly just discussed about in the winter is when all the archers that are up on the walls get a second chance to fire. So they're going to have a firing phase, followed by another defeat horde check step. Once you've removed any hordes that have been defeated, you check strength against strength. and see if there's going to do you have to resolve an assault, a breach, things like that. And also at the end of winter, you always discard any barricades that have been built. You're going to have to rebuild those. They're just temporary. And then that essentially is the end of a round. So at the end of the winter phase, we're going to start all of that back over. So I know that was a lot, but that is essentially a full round of the Great Wall. All right. I'm pretty sure that covers everything. This is not a lightweight worker placement game. This is not a lightweight tower defense game. This is a very heavy, very much a lot of strategy involved, a lot of rules. At the core, it's very straightforward. Place out your workers, activate those spots, gain the resources to build up and defend the wall. But as you can tell that we're now an hour plus into my video, there's a lot going on here. So up next, I'm going to be doing a playthrough. Probably will take several videos, several different parts to get through the whole thing. But I will be doing a full playthrough of the solo mode using Qin Jiushao here, going up against him. If you have any specific questions, please feel free to let me know in the comment section below. I will do my best to answer them, but I don't have all the answers. Like I said, I'm still reaching out to BGG, using that resource to try and get some answers for things. They haven't posted an official FAQ, at least to my knowledge yet, or an errata or anything like that. So again, this is pretty common for Awaken Realms, is that their rulebooks, their games are complex, and so it always seems to be like they miss a few things with their rulebooks that have to be clarified eventually down the road in FAQ or an errata. But this one's been okay, and I think I've got it. I think I've got most of it covered. So hopefully this has been helpful. I know it was long, but you know, it would probably take that long to teach someone how to play the game. So keep that in mind, that if you are sitting down to play this multiplayer, there's a learning curve. You're going to be taking some time explaining to them. All right. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos in the future, please consider subscribing to the channel. Once again, thanks for watching. Have a great day.